Okay, so start reading. I'll read each sentence and let's see whether it is clear. Okay. Put less symbolically, in more philosophically, though perhaps less profound language, this means that the real energy of our being is lying asleep and inconscient in the depths of our vital system and is awakened by the practice of pranayama. Now, he is talking of the individual, but the same thing also is true of the universal. All the energy, everything from the highest level to the lower levels, all is compressed and condensed into the inconscient. Everything is there inherent in it. So what is there in the, what is true of the universe, universal existence, is also true of the individual. And in the individual, the coccyx bone is a symbol of the inconscient. So that is what Shendra is saying, that all the energy that we have, mental energy, vital energy, okay, physical energy, everything is stored in the coccyx bone, the center rather of the coccyx bone. That is the, what is called the Mooladhara. So that's what he's saying, everything is there. And when the, by pranayama, you release this energy, it rises up like a snake. Okay, I remember one Swiss boy, he told me that he had the awakening of the Kundalini energy. Okay? Kundalini prana. He felt it like a snake going up like that. It is usually pictured as a snake which opens its hood like that. It rises up. So that is what he felt. Okay? Some people, of course, disbelieved him, but the description he gave was quite good. He has become a guru now in Switzerland. Okay, so, and doesn't come here anymore. So, practice of pranayama. Pranayama does that. It opens up the chakras. In its expansion, it opens. It is condensed at the lowest level. When it is expanding, it opens up all the chakras. Sorry. In its expansion, it opens up all the centers of our psychological being, in which reside the powers and the consciousness of what would now be called perhaps our subliminal self. Okay? Why is he saying perhaps? Because the Kundalini yoga is not his yoga. That's why he's giving a little leeway. Okay? But he's quite sure that it is the subliminal being that is awakened by the pranayama. Okay? Therefore, he's saying for us. I told you that when someone asked him about the Kundalini yoga, it was actually Gopi Krishna. Gopi Krishna was a Kashmiri who was practicing yoga, and for 17 years he had no effect. He used to practice meditation. After 17 years, suddenly his Kundalini woke up. Okay? And he wrote to Srila for help because he fell ill, because he had not purified himself. He was just meditating. He was a family man. And he fell ill for 2 years, 3 years. So he wrote to Srila. And Srila told him very clearly, Kundalini yoga is not my field. It is not my area of activity. So you better go to an expert. But I can give you all the help that is needed, and I can tell you that I will send as much force as I can to help you. Of course, I don't know if he understood that, but then he did recover, and after 2-3 years, he recovered, and he became quite an expert on the Kundalini yoga. He wrote many, many books, interesting books. Okay. So that's what he's saying. Perhaps, that's why he's using the word perhaps, because it's not his field. In its expansion, it opens up all the centers of our psychological being, in which reside the powers and the consciousness of what would now be called perhaps our subliminal self. Therefore, as each center of power and consciousness is opened up, we get access to successive psychological planes and are able to put ourselves in communication with the worlds or cosmic states of being which correspond to them. All the psychic powers, abnormal to physical man, but natural to the soul, develop in us. Okay? They are abnormal to physical man. That means you get clairvoyance, clairaudience, okay, telepathical possibilities. All these things open up in you. You see subtle things. Okay? They develop in you by the practice of pranayama. Not easily. You have to do it very, very concentrated in a long time. Finally, at the summit of the ascension, this arising and expanding energy meets with the superconscious self, which sits concealed behind and above our physical and mental existence. So when it sits above, he is talking of the self, and which sits concealed behind is the inside you, the psychic being. Behind also, but apart from the psychic being also, there is a divine presence in everything. Okay? The psychic being is individual, but the divine presence, which is universal, is also there in all creatures. Remember that we have both transcendent, cosmic, and individual. So the divine is there at an individual level also. The psychic being is more essentially divine, but it's the individual soul. The individual soul that is more prominent than the universal. Okay, so finally, at the summit of the ascension, this arising and expanding energy meets with the superconscious self, which sits concealed behind and above our physical and mental existence. This meeting leads to a profound samadhi of union in which our waking consciousness loses itself in the superconscious. So, you are not aware of the physical world anymore. Your eyes may be open or closed, but normally it is closed. And you are not aware of what's happening in the physical world. You are in samadhi. It's a deep, profound samadhi. And you experience all those things here. The difference between samadhi and sleep is, sleep also you go into different planes of consciousness, but unconsciously. When you come back, you don't remember. But when you have got samadhi, when you come back into your body-mind life, you are absolutely fully conscious of what you have experienced. It is real. It's not something which you forget. Thus, by the thorough and unremitting practice of pranayama, there you are, very clear. Thorough practice and unremitting, not giving up easily, practice of pranayama, the Hatha Yogin attains in his own way the psychic and spiritual results which are pursued through more directly psychical and spiritual methods in other yogas. So what the Hatha Yogin is doing through pranayama and asanas, the other yogas, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga particularly, they use other psychical and spiritual methods. So far as Srivastava is concerned, it's totally psychological. Okay? Totally psychological. He is not forbidding you to do asanas and pranayama. He is not forbidding you. But he has got other methods. You can also get them with less effort. The pranayama and the asanas takes a lot of time. Very time consuming and very slow. So the other, for instance, the surrender is much, much faster if it is done in the right way. Okay? Depending on the mother. Like the difference between the monkey baby and the kitten. The kitten depends entirely on the mother. He doesn't do anything on his own. The mother picks him up and takes him wherever she wants. But the monkey baby has to cling to the stomach of the mother. Okay? So that's the difference between the Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, whereas in the surrender method, okay, it is the baby cat attitude. Okay. Attains in his own way the psychic and spiritual levels is pursued through more directly psychical and spiritual methods in other yogas. The one mental aid which he conjoins with it is the use of the mantra. Okay? Mantra. The more you use the mantras, it becomes even more effective. Sacred syllable. Note the word sacred syllable because it is received and it got mantric power. The sound value has got a power. We know that sound has got a tremendous amount of power. We know that because when the jets fly over a city and they can shatter window panes, so much power is there. They also, I don't know if you read, but about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a meteor. A meteor is a shooting star and it entered Siberia. But 50 miles above the Earth's surface, that one broke up into many, many pieces, that meteor. And it broke up with such a force that the sound that was there shattered all the window panes in that small town in Siberia. So it created news all over the world. No one died, but all the window panes got shattered. So much power is there in sound. Mantric, the mantra is also sound with power, but not shattering type. It awakens the hidden powers in man. Mantra, sacred syllable, name and or mystic formula, which is of so much importance in the Indian system of yoga and common to them all. By the way, many people ask Sri Aurobindo for mantras, and he did not himself give any mantra, but when he was asked, he gave mantras. All of them are there, listed in one of the books in the collected works of Sri Aurobindo. It is there. I think in the last one, I don't remember exactly where, but it is there. The mantras are all there. He has given several. There are particularly, I think, 5 or 6. About 5 or 6 are there. Many of them use the mantras. Many of the sadhaks. This secret of the power of the mantra, the 6 chakras and the Kundalini Shakti is one of the central truths of all that complex psychophysical science and practice, of which the Tantric philosophy claims to give a rationale and the most complete compendium of methods. The Tantric philosophy is very, very detailed. If you look at the books, they will tell you each chakra is defined by the vibrations, the number of petals that are there, the seed sound, and also the color of all these chakras. Everything is there in the Tantric philosophy. All religions and disciplines in India, which use largely the psychophysical method, depend more or less upon it for their practices. But the Tantric philosophy has expatiated, which is made very common. In many books, you have all these chakras and all their sound values and all the number of petals and the colors. All are there. Now we go to the next paragraph. Raj Yoga also uses pranayama. So one of you has to read.
Can I read?
Oh yes, go ahead, Yasmin. Go ahead. Raj Yoga.
What is the exact meaning of the word compendium?
So compendium means a collection. It's a collection. Compendium. Okay. Since you are asking, let me check what the dictionary is saying on my phone. Compendium is a collection. But a collection.
Because this word also comes in Savitri.
Yeah. So since you are asking, it's very interesting. It's not a haphazard collection. It's a homogeneous collection, as far as I understand. But we'll see. Compendium. Compendium. Meaning. So the dictionary is saying a collection of concise but detailed information about a particular subject, especially in a book or other publication. So it's not only a collection, but it is concise. In other words, very precise and condensed, but also detailed information. These two are extra, you have to be added them. So that's a compendium. Okay, it's a collection, all right, but collection not a heterogeneous or a loose collection. It is concise and detailed, particularly in a book. It is a book, it's a compendium. An invaluable compendium of useful information is what is meant by compendium. Since you have asked, I'll add it on my, after the class, I will add it on the para. I highlight the board and enter it so that next time someone asks, it will be available to everyone. Okay, so Yasmin, you're going to read?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Raj Yoga also uses the pranayama and for the same principle, psychic purposes as the Hatha Yoga. But being in its whole principle, a psychical system, it employs it only as one stage in the series of its practices and to a very limited extent for 3 or 4 large utilities. It does not start with asana and pranayama, but insists first on a moral purification of the mentality. This preliminary is of supreme importance. Without it, the course of the rest of Raja Yoga is likely to be troubled, marred, and full of unexpected mental, moral, and physical perils. Shall I read the footnote?
Yes, do that.
In modern India, people attracted to yoga by picking up from books of persons only slightly acquainted with the matter, often plunge straight into pranayama of Raja Yoga, frequently with disastrous results. Only the very strong in spirit can afford to make mistakes in this
Your internet is fluctuating, Yasmin.
path. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Your internet is fluctuating. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Now we can hear you. So you were saying something. What were you saying?
I read the footnote. You want me to read it again?
No. It's okay. Because everybody had the footnote. They have read it.
This moral purification is divided in the established system under 2 heads, 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. The first are rules of moral self-control in conduct such as truth speaking, abstinence from injury or killing, from theft, etc. But in reality, these must be regarded as merely certain main indications of the general need of moral self-control and purity. Yama is more largely any self-discipline by which the Rajasic egoism and its passions and desires in the human being are conquered and quieted into perfect cessation. The object is to create a moral calm, a void of the passions, and to prepare for the death of egoism in the Rajasic human being. The niyamas are equally a discipline of the mind by regular practices, of which the highest is meditation on the divine being, and their object is to create a sattvic calm, purity, and preparation for concentration upon which the secure pursuance of the rest of the yoga can be founded.
So we are going to complete the first 2 steps of the 8-fold path of the Raja Yoga. There are 8 procedures, 8 steps in the Raja Yoga. Yama, Niyama, we'll see that. Okay, next time what we can do, I will make a chart and put it up on the, I'll put it on the camera. You can see it and you can even record it. We'll do that. So we'll read the passage what we read just now. Raja Yoga also uses pranayama for the same principle, psychic purposes as the Hatha Yoga. But being in its whole principle a psychical system, not physical but psychical, it employs it only as one stage in it, the series of its practices to a very limited extent for 3 or 4 large utilities. So what those utilities are, he is going to tell us. It does not start with asana and pranayama, but insists first on a moral purification of the mentality. This preliminary is of supreme importance. Without it, the course of the rest of the Raj Yoga is likely to be troubled, marred, and full of unexpected mental, moral, and physical perils. Now, that's exactly what I was telling you about Gopi Krishna. 17 years he did meditation, and he was doing it without purification. Okay? So he had a lot of trouble. For 2 years, he was in great trouble. He was almost dying. But somehow or other, he pulled through. So, these were the things, yamas and niyamas. Yamas are things that you should do, and yamas are the ones that you should not do. And niyamas are things that you should do. I'll list them out for you. This moral purification is divided in the established system under 2 heads, yamas. So what are the yamas? By the way, the word yam means to control. Okay? To be master of yourself, to control. And the 5 are ahimsa first. Ahimsa is non-injury in every way, physically, vitally, mentally. Okay? Ahimsa, non-violence. Non-violence physically, non-violence in your emotions. You should not have any destructive thought about others. Even you should not think of others in a destructive way, because that also has got a power. It's got a subtle power. And if you think on the opposite side, if you think well of others, it will not only have a good effect in the outside world, but will also help you to become pure. So ahimsa. Ahimsa is not only physical, it can be emotional and it can also be mental. Next is satyam. Satyam is truth speaking. Okay? Never tell a lie, because lies have vibrations which are contrary to the wellness of your being. Then asteya. Asteya is non-stealing. Don't go about stealing, whether it be small things or whether it be big things, no stealing at all. Okay? So, there is one thing which is small stealing. I forget the word, what it is. There are many people who steal a pen or a spoon or things like that. Okay. We had one case in the ashram like that. She would steal the pen of others. So what is that called? This peculiar trait in human beings. Stealing small things. There is a word for it. Just 1 minute. It's interesting. It is so common that there is a word for it. I'll tell you. Just one second. Huh? Yeah, that's right.
Kleptomania.
That's right.
Kleptomania.
Kleptomania, correct. So, stealing of small things. But neither stealing of small things or big things. Kleptomania, correct. So, that is asteya. Then brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is when you are in the student stage, you have to maintain sexual purity. Okay? You should contain the and not waste the energy which is there in the sexual system. Then aparigraha. Aparigraha, non-grasping. In other words, your desire, when your desires are there, you want to see something beautiful, you want it. But aparigraha. Parigraha is to grasp and non-grasping. So these are the 5 yamas. Then there are these are things which you should not do. You should not hurt anybody, you should not tell lies, you must not be sexually impure, and you must also not be desirous of things. These are the yamas. Then there are the niyamas. Niyamas are rules. Okay? Shauchyam. Okay? Shauchyam, cleanliness. In India, twice a day if you bath is very good. There are some who bath even 4 or 5 times. Maybe not necessary, but once a day, absolutely essential. And twice a day, very good. More than that may not be necessary. Santosha. Okay? Santosha is contentment, a peaceful inner being which is easily satisfied, not disturbed. Then Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is study of scriptures. Then tapas. Tapas is concentration. Okay? Concentration of yourself. Not wasted energy going outward all the time. Then the last one, Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana, worship of the divine. So these are the 5 yamas and niyamas. Okay? And these will purify you. They are absolutely essential, Swami is saying, and they purify you. Then you are ready to start the system of asanas and pranayama. Asanas you can do even when you are impure, but pranayama can be very dangerous, as he has said. In fact, Sri Aurobindo himself fell ill, Sri Aurobindo is writing that because he himself fell ill once. He was doing pranayama regularly in Baroda. But when he went to Bengal for his revolutionary work, he didn't have time to do the pranayama because it requires a good deal of time. He couldn't find that time. He was very busy. So he fell seriously ill. Okay? So that's why he's putting in that footnote that if you do it without the proper purifications, then that can happen. The first are rules of moral self-control in conduct, such as truth speaking, abstinence from injury or killing, from theft. Here mentioned only 5. Here mentioned only 3 here, etc. But in reality, these must be regarded as merely certain main indications of the general need of moral self-control and purity. Yama is more largely any self-discipline by which the rajasic egoism and its passions and desires in the human being are conquered and quieted into perfect cessation. So now he's giving the real meaning of the word, Sanskrit meaning of the word yam. Yam. Yam is the root to control. And Yama is the lord of death. And death is a rule. Okay? So, and who is this Yama? Very interesting discussion in Savitri, between Savitri and Yama. Yama is the one who ensures law and order and rules in the physical world. And death is one of the biggest rules in the physical world. So Savitri is out to change that rule for the supramental race. It continues to remain for the normal man. Death is not going to disappear for everybody. It will disappear only for those who are in the supramental race. Okay, that's by the way, that's an aside. Yama is more largely any self-discipline by which the rajasic egoism and passions and desires in the human being are conquered and quieted into perfect cessation. The object is to create a moral calm, a void of the passions, and so prepare for the death of egoism in the rajasic human being. Rajasic human being is mainly the piety. There can be rajasic element everywhere. There can be rajasic element in the body also. So, the niyamas are equally a discipline of the mind by regular practices of these highest is meditation on the divine being. That's the Ishvara Pranidhana. That's the highest. And their object is to create a sattvic calm, purity, and preparation for concentration upon which secure pursuance of the rest of the yoga can be founded. So I'll tell you an interesting thing. In the Western world, they are so busy with their jobs and their outward life that they have no time for all these things. So there is very often there is disturbance and their life is very disorganized. So when one of our people from the ashram had gone to France, she was teaching them just calm sitting asanas, and when you are doing asanas, naturally you have to hold the pose for some time. So there is inactivity. My God, they said that they were helped like anything, only by just doing asanas. Okay? And they all came here in a bunch to the ashram to see what is this, and where it is happening. Who is this person who is telling us about all this? They came to the ashram. So this is that's what's in the thing of sattvic calm, purity and preparation for contemplation. Upon which the secure pursuance of the rest of the yoga is founded. So We read now 8:31. We have got 9 minutes. We can read the next paragraph. It is here when this foundation has been secured. Next person, someone has to read. Anyone. The Varsanadi has got the text and she is free, she can read. Maybe she is not there in the line. So, Suki, you can read maybe.
Read?
Yeah. It is here.
It is here. It is here when this foundation has been secured that the practice of asana and pranayama come in and can bear their perfect fruits. By itself, the control of the mind and moral being only puts our normal consciousness into the right preliminary condition. It cannot bring about that evolution or manifestation of the higher psychic being, which is necessary for the greater aims of yoga. In order to bring about this manifestation, the present nodes of the vital and physical body with the mental being has to be loosened and the way made clear for the ascent through the greater psychic being to the union with the superconscient Purusha. This can be done by pranayama. Asana is used by the Raja Yoga only in its easiest and most natural position, then naturally taken by the body when seated and gathered together, but with the back and head strictly erect and in a straight line, so that there may be no deflection of the spinal cord. The object of the latter rule is obviously connected with the theory of the 6 chakras and the circulation of the vital energy between Muladhara and the Brahmarandra. The Raja Yogic Pranayama purifies and clears the nervous system. It enables us to circulate the vital energy equally through the body and direct it also where we will according to need, and thus maintain a perfect health and soundness of the body and the vital being. It gives us control of all the 5 habitual operations of the vital energy in the system, and at the same time breaks down the habitual divisions by which only the ordinary mechanical processes of the vitality are possible to the normal life. It opens entirely the 6 centers of the psychophysical system and brings into the waking consciousness the power of the awakened Shakti and the light of the unveiled Purusha on each of the ascending planes. Coupled with the use of the mantra, it brings the divine energy into the body and prepares for and facilitates that concentration in samadhi, which is the crown of the Raja Yogic method.
So, we're not a very big para, but we will quickly read that. We can finish it. It is here when this foundation has been secured. What is the foundation? Moral purification. Moral purification. Nothing spiritual about it. But you don't desire for everybody, don't tell lies, you keep yourself clean, do some study of the scriptures, okay, and constantly think of the divine. It is here when this foundation has been secured that the practice of asana and pranayama can come in and then bear their perfect fruits. Okay. They will have effect. For instance, pranayama will give you a very good health and longevity. That will happen. By itself, the control of the mind and moral being only puts our normal consciousness into the right preliminary condition. It just prepares you. It's like the springboard. That's a foundation. There's no disturbance there. It is calm and quiet. So you are in a perfect condition to start the yoga. It cannot bring about that evolution or manifestation of the higher psychic being, which is necessary for the greater aims of yoga. In order to bring about this manifestation, the present nodus of the vital and physical body with the mental being has to be loosened and the way made clear for the ascent through the greater psychic being to the union with the superconscious Purusha. Now he's used two words here, higher psychic being and greater psychic being. So, very interesting words he's using. I think higher psychic being, he means the as distinguished by the emotional being and also the influence of the psychic in the body-mind life. So higher psychic being, he means the pure psychic inside you. And the greater psychic being, okay, is the self. So he's using the word psychic here in a very interesting way. It probably using it in the sense of the psychological being. Okay? So higher psychic being, he means the psychic proper in his own terminology. And greater psychic being, very clearly, he is talking of the self. But the word psychic is then used in a normal language. In normal language. That's the meaning of the word psychic. Psychological. Inward, not physical. The union of the superconscious. When he talks of superconscious Purusha, it is very clear that the greater psychic being is the self. Okay? And psychic is used in the normal sense. Otherwise, it will be confusing. This can be done by pranayama. Okay? So that much he will do. Then he says, asana is used by the Raja Yoga only in its easiest and most natural position. That naturally taken by the body when seated and gathered together, but with the back and head strictly erect and in a straight line. This is exactly what is recommended also in the Gita. They go, these details are given. Keep your, don't droop, no drooping. The head and the spine must be in a straight line so that the energy goes easily through, so that there may be no deflection of the spinal cord. The object of the latter rule is obviously connected with the theory of the 6 chakras and the circulation of the vital energy between the Mooladhara at the bottom and the Brahmarandhara at the highest level. So you want, because you're talking about the chakras. So if you bend, then the chakras will not be in a line, so it will be more difficult. Now I want to mention something here. In Sri Aurobindo Yoga, he is not paying attention to the chakras, and therefore he says concentration and meditation is possible also in an easy chair. Okay, you don't need to sit. And in the Gita, it's very, very clear how you have to sit. You have to sit on a soft cushion or a soft grass, okay, or covered with a tiger skin or a deer skin. It goes into so much detail, and it should be neither too high nor too low. Why? Because if it is too high and you are meditating, you may fall off if you fall asleep. So not too high and not too low. It should not be on the ground level also, because insects can come and bother you, or also other things can also happen. So you should be least disturbed. So the seat should be neither too high nor too low, and you should sit in a straight line and concentrate in the eyebrows. There is the description given in the Gita. Okay, so but Sri Aurobindo's yoga is not paying attention to the chakras. It is purely psychological. So therefore, he says that you can, in a correspondence to Pavitrata, he says very clearly that you can just recline in an easy chair also. But if you are lying down, the lying down actually encourages a little bit of tamas. So it's better to avoid concentration in a lying down position. Okay? Whereas it is much better to sit up. If you sit up and do, very good. But if you can also, you can in a reclining position in an easy chair. They have mentioned that. I just mentioned an interesting detail because it's not physical. In the Raj Yoga and the Hatha Yoga, it is physical. And the chakras have all to be in a line. If they are not in a line, you will get the result, but it will take longer and it won't be perfect. That's all. The Raja Yogic Pranayama purifies and clears the nervous system. It enables us to circulate the vital energy equally through the body and direct it also where we will, according to need. You can use that energy and direct it to any part of the body. Okay. Sri Aurobindo used to do that. Afterwards, one day he had red eyes, he directed that energy to the eyes and cured it within 2 hours, and thus maintained a perfect health and soundness of the body and the vital being. It gives us control of all the 5 habitual operations of the vital energy. And these also see, Srila is not paying any attention to the details. Neither the yamas nor the niyamas and not the 5, he is giving any details. But we have given details just now to make it clear. And the 5 habitual operations of prana are prana, apana, dhyana, samana, udana. Prana is the general energy. Apana is the one that allows you the excretory organs to work properly. Okay? Dhyana, the distribution of air and food. Samana, both of them. And udana is the one that allows you to go outside the body. So these are the 5 habitual operations of the vital energy in the system. At the same time, breaks down the habitual divisions by which only the ordinary mechanical processes of the vitality are possible to normal life. It opens entirely the 6 centers of the psychophysical system and brings into the waking consciousness the power of the awakened Shakti and the light of the unveiled Purusha on each of the ascending planes. We know that there are 7 planes according to the cerebral system. Coupled with the use of the mantra, it brings the divine energy into the body and prepares for and facilitates that concentration in samadhi, which is the crown of the Raj Yogic system. But in Cerebral Yoga, samadhi is only the beginning. Okay. So we have finished it. I have gone beyond the time. I'm sorry for that. But next time we will take up the Raj Yogic concentration. Okay. All right. So, au revoir, everybody. Have a nice day.
Hare Rangada.
Au revoir.
Rangada. Thank you, Rangada.